Anyway, basically, throughout this whole process, when all of us came together on March 22nd, we didn't know what to expect. We'd heard the same thing we talked about before, what happened in New York, what happened in Italy, what happened in Spain. We were warned that this is going to be bad for us here, so we didn't know what to do. So we bunkered down. We passed the civil emergency ordinance on May 22nd. Then after that, the governor came out with his initial order of 1463, and then obviously has had numerous orders since then. So this has been going on quite a while. I think it's 66 days now since we had the emergency order from the president on March the 11th. So we did what we're asked to do. We flattened the curve. We did. We flattened the curve. Our healthcare facilities never at any time were challenged. And I want to read the numbers to you. And again, before I move on, I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that this virus is not dangerous for some people. It is. This virus is very dangerous for some people. But the numbers that I'm about to share with you, and I'm going to make a point on where we are now in Southaven and my thought process, what I'm pleading with the governor to do and to listen to. The statistics are this. We know that the testing you can't count on that. Like, we don't know, when we get test results, we don't know if that was a spike that day or if that's a data dump. We don't know if a bunch of people went and got tested one day and so you got a bunch of positive cases. So the number of positive cases is a variable that we can't verify. But there's one thing that we can verify, and that's fatalities. We know that we've had 5 fatalities in DeSoto County in 66 days. All right, so if you do the math on that, out of 185,000 people in DeSoto County, that's 0.003 of 1%. If you look at Shelby County, Tennessee, y'all remember in the early days, people said, "Oh, look out for DeSoto County. They're going to be more risky because they're in Memphis's population." That is true. Shelby County, Tennessee fatalities per capita, 0.009 of 1%. The state of Mississippi as a whole, fatalities per capita, 0.019 of 1%. And those numbers, again, I told you the county's population, Shelby County, Tennessee, 88 fatalities out of 937,000 people. The state of Mississippi today has 554 casualties out of 2,976,000 people. So I tell you the numbers to point out, we know what this is now. We have our own data. And as leaders, whether it be at the local level, state level, or federal level, we have to make big picture decisions. We have to weigh all risks. The risk of the virus now pales to the risk of other health issues. And just to get specific, someone brought this out. I know y'all seen this on national news, but how many people do you think that normally would go get a cancer screening or go do something that would be preventative care to prevent a future terminal illness that have not done that? In 66 days, if you do the math on how many people in Mississippi or in the United States have failed to go get a cancer screening and the fatalities that are going to result for that, I want you to ponder that tonight after we leave. Think about that. Let's just talk about cancer alone. Think about how many people will die from cancer because they didn't have early detection, because they were afraid to go to a healthcare facility because of the COVID scare. Or not just afraid, maybe they couldn't get treatment because of the COVID limitations. So your health risks have escalated during this time, not to mention, think of the economic damage. We talked about local economic damage. Look at the state of Mississippi in general. Look at all the economic damage that has occurred over the drastic measures that have been taken, over this COVID-19 scare. And so when you start looking at the big picture and weighing these other risks, to me, I told you I'm going to be bold. I can't understand how any leader cannot draw the same conclusion that it's past time for us to open our economy up and let people get back out and go get the preventative care at the healthcare facilities, get back out and resume their lives. So I don't understand why the state of Mississippi and some states are still restricting business and holding us down. The numbers just do not support that anymore. Now, I'm going to talk about something that you've never heard me talk about. During my mayoral career, there have been many times when I got accused of things that we did that maybe we infringed on somebody's rights, or maybe it wasn't constitutionally sound. And with Nick Manning, our city attorney, I've always been cautious to go double check that, make sure that we never did anything like that. But I'm going to be bold with you tonight, and I'm going to read something to you just so I can quote it the way I thought it originally. And it's titled, "Our Freedoms. It's past time that all businesses have the freedom to prosper again, and all people have the freedom to live their lives again. As upheld by the United States Supreme Court multiple times, government has a constitutional right to restrain personal liberties temporarily during emergencies under the pressure of great dangers to protect the safety of the general public. However, I must be straightforward and bold with all reading this or hearing me talk tonight that I have serious concerns with liberties being restrained for this length of time, considering the real data that I just quoted to you. I also have concerns about the discriminatory nature of government, allowing some businesses and organizations to assemble and do business, but not others. Respectfully to all tonight, I say it's time for government to get out of the way. And I feel strongly about that. I believe we can be safe. We can resume our lives in a bold way. We're not going to live scared. That doesn't mean that we throw caution to the wind and then we're not safe. I think we can go back. We can practice the social distancing, the special hygiene, things that we've learned throughout this crisis. I think that our business people are not in business because they need somebody to coach them and parent them. They're smart business people because they know how to make changes and make adjustments along the way. And I think it's time for us to get out of their way and let them have a chance to be safe and open business. And so I will encourage Governor Reeves. Y'all know the Safer at Home order is in effect until Monday, May 25th. I'm going to encourage him to lift those restrictions on May 25th and get out of the way and let Mississippi get back to business and back to their lives. Now, let me clarify one other issue that is very strange to me. And again, I'm not being critical. I'm just going to be very bold and very straightforward. In-person church gatherings. Governor Reeves has indicated today in a press conference, and I reached out to his office last week to get clarification for in-person church gatherings. He indicated that in-person church gatherings have never been restricted. I was a little stunned by that because I think that it's safe to say, well, I know our city attorney interpreted that way. I interpret it that way. Many other attorneys interpret it that way. And obviously many churches around the state interpreted the fact that they had to follow CDC guidelines and could only have 10 people gathered. And so for all this time, you have churches that have been doing remote services, which is smart. They would have done that anyway. But they all thought that they were restricted to 10 people or less. And the reason, I want to read to you why they thought that, and why our city attorney, you don't let me speak to you, correct me, Nick, please. But in Order 1463, there was the governor's initial order where he defined essential businesses. He listed all the essential businesses organizations, and that's not changed since then. There was only one on that list that had not a footnote, but an add-on to that says this. Like on all of them, before you get to the list, it indicates that if you're essential, that the 10-person rule doesn't apply to you. We all know that with our grocery stores, hardware stores. But when you get to religious entities, it's the only one that has language that clearly states that they must adhere to the guidelines in order to be considered essential. So for many people, they interpret that religious entities gatherings were restricted. And then the exact wording in the order says this. Religious entities, including religious and faith-based facilities, entities and groups, religious gatherings, are essential provided that they adhere to the CDC and the Mississippi Department of Health recommendations and guidance to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Then, when you go to the Mississippi State Department of Health's website, even today, this is what it says. Church services, funerals, and weddings, because Mississippi State Department of Health has identified COVID-19 cases specifically linked to church gatherings, it is vitally important that all Mississippians not attend in-person church services at any church or other type of facility. Attending churches, weddings, and funerals is not recommended and is leading to COVID-19 transmission to others. Limiting gatherings to 10 people or fewer is critical, and social distancing must be practiced at all gatherings. So most people in our state interpreted this by what it says, that churches had to be limited to 10 or less in order to have physical in-person gatherings. So they've been waiting. Many have asked me in our city, when is this going to be lifted? Well, when I reach out to the governor's office, that's when they told me, we've never restricted churches being limited. So I don't know why the confusion. I don't understand the purpose of that. I tell you all that tonight to tell you good news, that now there is no state law restricting in-person church services. So I want all our churches to know that. I have had meetings, video conferences with many church pastors. They have great plans on how they're going to do this. Again, back to the businesses, they don't need to be told how to operate their church, just like a business doesn't need to be told how to operate their business. They know how to make adjustments, and they all have great detailed plans to bring their congregations back in a smart way. So the message tonight is in-person church services in Southaven are open. I know that many churches have set target dates to get ready to communicate with their congregations to start back on May 31st and then some on June 7th. But that's a great thing, that we're safe enough now we can have people back together. And so that's it. That's it tonight. I just want to give everyone an update. I wish that I had more specifics. I could tell everyone about the businesses that have not been opened yet, but unfortunately we've not been given that yet. It's just been a daily update, as y'all know, with the governor's press conferences, so I'm telling y'all that I know. But I will be asking them on May 25th to please lift the sacred home order so all of our businesses can get back open again.